Hello, hello. Today I wanted to do a deep dive on one of my favorite mons in black and white overused at the moment. It's been my obsession kind of for the past year or so, and I'm convinced that this mon, Cresselia, could definitely be used a little bit more often than she currently is, which is kind of low. In my last video, I saw that she managed to bag a 2.5% usage rate in the last Black and White Cup, which is pretty high, I will say. And yeah, so why Cresselia? The first thing I noticed is that later gens started to use to run her a little bit more often, mostly for her lunar dance capabilities, especially in SM and in auras as well. That's Gen 7 and Gen 6. You will find Cresselia teams pop up here and there. I don't have any ready, but you will see her alongside either like very offensive teams, and it will be something like Scarf Cresselia, which gives you some coverage, let's say, defensive coverage rather, plus Trick, Thunder Wave, Lunar Dance, all the stuff, and or as a main support for one big threat. And as of now, I don't think you can use her exactly the same way in black and white, but she does have uses, and I got inspired by those later gen builds. So yeah, historically in black and white, you could only find Cresselia in sun teams. So you would run something like Tails, Cress, Chansey, then usually one victim of the Manitan, then a spinner, let's say Donphan, and then last guy, whatever. A team like this, or even, I don't know, just maybe, uh, or Heatran, maybe. Problem with a team like this is that unless you're like Big T, instantly kills everything, it kind of does nothing. It's a very defensive build, but also it relies on winning the weather war, and you have a Ninetales who is not a good mon at all. Like this one is just unusable by all metrics. It's just unusable, and Sun sadly lost a lot of its best tools with the bans, and so no chlorophyll means you have no immediate sweeping threat, like say a Venusaur or even just a strong revenge killer, right? If you could run this nowadays, I think it will be much better, but it's banned because we don't like speed boosting abilities under weather. And also, of course, look through this guy got banned, rightfully so, someone would say. And if when Sun lost these pieces, it just crumbled because what you're stuck with nowadays, let's say even you go something like this, something like this, like this team is just weak. You can go more offensive, right? So you can say drop the cress and Barmanitan, drop the chance, I don't know, Latios maybe, something like this. But these teams are very gimmicky, obviously. Rely on you they rely on the opponent not having a couple of pieces, and also you have to make outplay your opponent, and that's not always possible. So yeah, beyond those kind of teams, we have never seen Cresselia used in black and white overused, except in recent times I've been experimenting a lot with her on weatherless teams. So of course you need the sun with Cress, or at least what I do, which is weather clear, because her recovery is completely it's halved by weather, right? Rain, hail, sand, all drop moonlight to a 25% heal from 50, and sun obviously also boosts it to 66%. And so the idea was Cresselia with permanent sun up is basically unkillable. And so, if you manage to win the weather world, you could rely on Cress to face tank almost anything in the tier. You can still do it, of course, but the problem is Ninetales gets progressively worse as people and teams get better at building and just playing around weather and stuff. It used to be you could just lead Ninetales and you would often get a free wisp on Tita, for example, and then there's Weather War is very winnable for you, but nobody lets you do that anymore. And there's also stuff like Alakazam that makes some teams very frail. So that's why you want Sun, right? But then we established that Ninetales is useless, which it is, sadly. And so what's the next best option? Some people were like, Cresselia screens, and she can easily set them up on just about everything. And then, you can eventually I don't know, you can then send, I don't know, a Conkeldur, let's say, and just boot up under screens and then attack, and that's okay. And then you can Lunar Dance it later on. But screens in black and white don't work that well. Like, you're better off doing just a regular hyper offense with big attackers, Smurf stuff, for example. That's usually the better path to victory. And so this set never took off, and I'm not surprised. It's not even more like the last one's probably Ice Beam, I think, or Psychic, or even Thunder Wave, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like, you click Reflect Light Screen, then get out. And obviously, like Clay. But screens is just not a good playstyle in black and white, so this one never happened in any serious capacity. And then what else? Well, then you just go into what I've been doing, which is why this video exists, which is you run Cress and you run Weather Clear. So the interesting thing about Weather Clear in black and white is that your, what's it called? Once you clear weather, then it's gone. So say you clear sand once Tyranitar is dead with Sunny Day once, and then once Sunny Day runs out of turns, then you will just play with no weather at all. And that's obviously very nice for Cresselia, because Cresselia doesn't necessarily need Sunny Day, yeah, it makes her more like that. But it's enough to heal 50% really. Yeah, you have low PPs, but usually black and white games don't go on that long. And even when they do, you can just do things with your other team members, right? And so I decided to try out, let's try a Sunny Day Cress build. And the first one I stumbled upon was this one. One sec, I will show you quickly a replay. This, right? This was my first build. My first serious Cresselia build. Not really a serious build per se, there's no overuse mons in this, but I played this a lot on ladder and did very well. The Cresselia kind of happened here as well. It wasn't really the main idea. I just wanted to click Relic Song with Meloetta, because Relic Song ignores Sleep Clause. Well, sleep is banned, but Relic Song can sleep in black and white overused, and it does sleep things, and you can also sleep more than one mon if you're good at the video game. That doesn't happen that often. It's only a 20% chance, even factoring in Seren Grace. But then I wanted also to try out Machamp a little bit, and the rest kind of built itself. So I did Cress, General Tanky Girl, also Bates in Titar for Machamp, also Paralysis, very welcome, and Rocky Helmet. Donphan Spins, Umbreon is a fun mon in black and white. It's not great, but it's okay. Very strong special defense, Pursuit obviously great. Latios doesn't really do that much damage to you unless it specs. You also have Heal, Bell, and Wish and Synchronize, which means that, for example, Rotom Wash cannot really click Wisp for free onto you, even if your team is 6 guys that lose to Rotom, like in this case, because you can just switch into the Wisp and get burned and burn him back. And then you can Heal Bell. So, it's nice. And then I Slowking as a general cardio check. It's also nasty plot, so I can break down bulkier teams in case I need it. Although that never really happened. But yeah. So this was the idea, the original idea. And from there I after playing this team a bunch, I was like, oh wait, this Cresselia gal is pretty strong with this set, which was exactly this. I just basic set. You will run this in Sun as well, maybe lefties, but I want a Rocky Helmet here, and you can do some crazy stuff with this guy. For example, Tyranitar comes in and crunches you. It will do what, 30%, and you click Sunny Day, and then Moonlight the next turn. You heal 66%, and the Tyranitar is kind of forced out. And also, your opponent lost Sun for at least a couple of turns, right? And so I was like, okay, this is pretty strong. Like, this idea here, like, these mons are okay, like, the team is okay, that's nothing spectacular, but the Cresselia was often the star of the show, even I'm not saying soloing bigger teams or other teams with main threats, but she would always do a lot of stuff for me. I don't know if she did in this game. Let's see. Just a quick Kelly Melo. I'm just trying to see if my Cresselia did anything. Well, okay, maybe. All right, see? This is an example of. Okay, my opponent's team is not very good, so ignore that. But even then, you can just Sunny Day as Tyranitar comes in, and then what is the Tyranitar going to do? Pursue it 22% and paralyze. And now Tyranitar is pretty much useless. And now I heal up, and I think I T-Wave this guy as well. Oh, I guess my opponent. But see, you can just do this, and your opponent, they can try to play you or play around it, but as you can see, like, what are you supposed to do against this? A lot of teams just don't have a serious answer to Cresselia, or at least they have maybe one or two, but they're kind of frail and you can outlast them easily, especially if you have decent supporting cast. So something like this one is just does things every game, which is what most strong mons in OU do, which is why I think she's also strong. There's mons like Donphan, as much as I like them, some games they just don't do nothing, but I've never had a Cresselia do nothing, really. It just doesn't happen because she's so bulky and your opponent has to answer her, but most of the answers hate Thunder Wave and Sunny Day and Moonlight. I don't always run this exact set, but I wish my crest back, whatever. +2 I sponge life, or by the way, 35%. Yeah, so my thought process when starting to run cress a lot was, okay, I have this insane bulwark that's almost impossible to kill, and it offers a decent utility to my team. T-Wave, paralysis in general, support, great. She checks a lot of annoying things like Garchomp and Dragonite as well. That's always welcome for a mon. And yeah, synchronize, cool. Yeah, and so I started to. This game is over anyway. My opponent I mean, Garchomp could maybe kill a couple, but then I protect an Umbreon. That was fine. But yeah, once you start playing around with Cress, you realize how strong she is. So you have Thunder Wave and you have Weather Reset, and from here you can do a lot of things because a lot of mons in black and white rely on weather to do their job, and but there's a category of mons that hate weather, or at least a weather that cuts into their survivability or into their damage. And so there are a couple obvious teammates that I've explored, and also a couple of less common teammates, I think, that you can get a lot of mileage out of having a Cresselia alongside them. A few examples were these teams that I showcased already in another video. So an example will be this. Does this show decently? Okay, it does. I mean, no sprites, but whatever. Right, so when you see this, actually, let me see if I can improve how it shows. A sec, let's. Right, let's see. Okay, much better. Right, so a team like this, there are Pokemon like Dragonite that don't really like sun, for example, don't care too much about the other weathers. Well, doesn't like hail either, but nobody runs that anymore. And so if you have Cress, you have Thunder Wave and Sunny Day support for the Dragonite. And also you can do a lot of annoying stuff with Cress to support your Dragonite. And then, I also had another weather reset mon because I think you need to. And that's it, really. I've Zone for D-Knight, I've Weavile for D-Knight, well, D-Knight and other stuff. It's just, she opens up a lot of building paths that most other mons don't do. Because you have this massive headache that your opponent has to respond to. And so, while a lot of other defensive pieces have pretty big shortcomings in black and white, they invite in a lot of annoying stuff. So does Cresselia, obviously, but she's so bulky that she can just face tank most of them and then paralyze them back. I will say the biggest annoyance for a crest like this is something like Excadrill. Obviously, Ice Beam is not going to do much. This one has zero special attack. It's just sad. And of course, Ironet does a lot of damage. You can Sword Dance up on Crest for free. You cannot get paralyzed. You can Sunny Day on Exca and remove Sunforce. Yes, but you're slower and you take a bit too much from what's it called? Iron Head in Sand. One flinch and you're almost dead. So yeah, that's a guy to consider when building with Cress. But yeah, aside from Exca, most other mons don't really want to switch into this or can't. So ground types beyond Exca obviously get annihilated by Ice Beam. And so yeah, there are things that I've lost games on ladder because I send Cressin on Conk and I don't have Psychic. I run Psychic on some teams, but not all of them. And sometimes it's just like, oh, Conk just set up for free. Yep, goodbye. But yeah. Still, I think that's the interesting part about Cress, is that you have this massive wall on the field and your opponent has to expend a lot of resources to get rid of it. There are some easy paths out, for example, statusing, but it's hard to status Cress because most of the mons that run status are something Cress doesn't really stay in at all. I think, say, Rotten Wash. You can trade Thunderwave for Wisp if you want to, obviously, or Toxic. I run Toxic sometimes on Cress. Or sometimes, for example, you get paralyzed yourself against a Tyranitar in the 1 versus 1. but that's fine usually. But beyond that, Cresselia is basically useless against the defensive mons, beyond thunder waving them. So you will get out of most status. Like you just won't get status really. You have to be careful though, of course. You know, the toxic is kind of annoying, extremely annoying, especially since Moonlight only has 8 PPs. And so yeah, not to go over against this team again because they're just I already made a video on a few of them, but the idea here is that if you have Cresselia, you have two things on your team already, or at least one, which is weather reset. So how do you use weather reset? Well, of course, you run a Pokemon that hates sand, in this case Suicune, or in this case Dragonite. This one, there's no real big reason to run Sunny Day beyond supporting Cresselia herself, but you know, that's not everything has to be 100% synergic all the time. Other mons that I can think of include, say, Gyarados. These are all mons that used to be run on rain teams, and the function of rain there was not really to have rain, but to have a way to remove sand. The problem is that a lot of these don't play well typing-wise with the other rain pieces. So, for example, Suicune, right? If you run Suicune with Politoed, you already have 2 water types. And then you want a spinner, which will most likely be a water type, be it Tentacle or Starmie. And then you add in, well, ideally you want a Keldeo, right? I also tried builds without so many water types with Suicune in rain. They were okay, but you need like Blissey Latias, and then it gets really all in on Suicune, and it's still not that great. This team doesn't use cress the same way, really. I don't even remember what's. One sec. I think this is slightly different Cresselia. Yeah, this is just standard Trick Room because the team is a Trick Room team. So this isn't even a typical application. But yeah, so now that we know this, are there ideas that I haven't quite had the time to develop yet that well? So you have Thunder Wave and Sunny Day, right? So mons that absolutely hate sand are great partners for Cress, which means, well, a lot of water types, ironically enough. And you could make a case that's not great because, you know, you're setting up sun, so you're cutting on your own water stuff, but that's not really that important, I think. Things I've tried and did okay. Well, Dragonite, obviously, Substitute Dragon Dance, Suicune, Great Mon, Substitute Calm Mind. Anything with Substitute and takes 100 damage is fine. Gyarados probably functions well, though you will need some real Rotom insurance, but that's a mon you could consider. Gengar, maybe? I would consider trying Gengar. With Cress. I haven't done it yet. Maybe I'm completely wrong though, so just don't don't take it as gospel. Current Black, absolutely. This mon with Cress is great. You have paralysis support, great because this mon is kind of slow, and you know you can do a lot with a couple paralysis and a Current Black. Even just substitute Ice Beam. It's very annoying for a lot of teams. And of course, if you have lefties, which you should do because we have weather reset, right? It actually gets kind of hard to deal with for a lot of teams. Think about, I don't know, the current main sample team, which is Rotom Wash, Ferro, Titar, Zam, Latios, Lando. That team has maybe 2 months that really kill Curem in one, and a couple of things that are slightly more annoying, but it needs all of these pieces and sand to actually beat Curem reliably. And if you get rid of, well, the sand, you can do a lot with Curem black. Also, there are a few things that Curem struggles against that Cresselia completely covers, so that's also cool. Other mons, well, I tried Dragonite, great mon. You can probably to build a better team than I did. I just had it because Keldeo is kind of interesting. It's, well, Sun is really annoying for Keldeo, right? So maybe you can actually afford something like Specs plus, say, a Weavile. If you watch these teams, I've started gravitating towards Weavile a lot as a partner with Cress, and obviously it's because a lot of things that are super strong into Cress just get annihilated by Weavile, and Weavile doesn't care about the weather that much, but it does invite in a few things that are very unfortunate to deal with, say Kelio and I don't know, even Terrakion. You don't really kill it if you're choice locked in a dark move. And so you need reliable switching for these things. And that's exactly what Cresselia does best. Right. The, the formula is almost always the same. I have two ways of removing weather usually on a team with Cress, and another one with Thunderwave. And so I've you need two ways to remove weather. They can also be two different. They don't have to be sunny day. They don't have both to be sunny day. You can do one sunny day and one rain dance. Problem with that is that rain dance has kind of a bad distribution, and it's mostly earned by things that cannot afford the slot for rain dance. But in this one, for example, I had rain dance bliss, say, which I think works fine on this. And obviously Thunderwave started me. Thunderwave on Blissey too, I believe. So I just... Actually, was that? That doesn't sound like what I did. Wait. Oh no, of course not. Because you cannot spam paralysis with this. Because else Jellicent just wins you against you. Like, so yeah, I had the double toxic and I dropped Thunderwave on this for Psychic. Yeah, it's very customizable. That's another great thing about crafts. You can just run whatever. As long as you have Moonlight and Sunny Day, the other two are whatever. Other mons that you could try. Let's go back to the builder. Here, other things that you could try. A lot of overused mons are kind of immune to sun because it's, well, that's just how it goes. That's the Rotowash kind of likes not having sun up at all the times. Other Thunderous I haven't tried yet. I don't super care though for it. It's just this mon's just sad. I don't like it at all. If you drop here, you will find some things that maybe could work well. Something like a dragon, maybe. You can run Lefford finally without feeling like you were instantly dying after 2 attacks. Venusaur, no, I mean I know you have sand, but come on now. Regular QM, kind of same deal as QM Black. Don't know if it's better, I don't think it is, but sure you can do that. Staraptor. Sand or not, it's dying in 1. Dropping below here, there's probably something. I mean, you can even maybe make a case of for like Victini or Darmanitan. Strong nukes, decent revenge killers. They probably pair okay with Cress, because Cress pairs well with a couple of mods that probably support them well. I don't know. These are all things that you could try or you should try on your own, because I haven't really. I don't play enough. Mew is another one. Mew is a good one. You can say Nasty Plot. And without Sun, this guy will stick around for a bit. Okay, let's remove this. Let's go back. What else? Porygon, no. Raikou, I mean, technically, yes. In practice, probably not. Roserade. If you're really that desperate to have, like, spikes. But I try to build with Cress and Roserade every now and then, because it's nice in theory, right? So you get at least a serviceable Keldeo check in Roserade. And obviously you can run Synthesis plus Sunny Day on this. And also you get spikes and or toxic spikes, which actually do pretty well with Cress. Like, on paper, this is the dream duo. Well, maybe not dream, but they should work at least, right? You get, say, toxic spikes, Synthesis. But the problem here is that if you run Synthesis, you cannot Sunny Day with this. Although it's kind of okay, because it's kind of strong into the weather, guys. If you just do this, okay. Yeah, but is it illegal? Probably not, right? Oh, it is. Okay, maybe this is the way. And then you run another Sunny Day mod. But yeah, she's still an interesting bring, I think, together with Cress. I just have to figure out how to build the rest. Melodic, definitely not. The Nidos, no. Shamin. Shamin is another one that's kind of in limbo. Of course, you can run just Sunny Day and say growth. It's very clunky though, so probably not. I'd rather have a Roserade, because it gets me toxic spikes and or spikes, which are much more useful than a +2 Shaming will ever be. Society. Other mons that Victini already mentioned, Virizion, yes and no. Weavile, yes, sure. Zapdos, maybe okay. But what do you do with Zapdos? Like, I guess you run Thunderwave on this guy too. And then it's probably fine, just not sure how useful it is. But it's definitely an option, so consider it. Because I think this mon opens up so many team building paths that all of this technically, theoretically could work, but I don't have time to build all of them. Snorlax technically yes, but this guy's too slow. Slowbro probably doesn't care. Zork, no thanks, Mega. Let's say, sure, whatever. Among Us doesn't mind it either, and it also can afford to run Sunny Day itself. If you're okay with dropping a big coverage mode, though, it's a bit of a fish, I would say, but it's an idea. We are dropping down. The mons down here are a bit sad in general. I'm not sure there's anything that I would feel cool running with say, a Cresselia and Sunny Day, with a specific idea of running Sunny Day Cresselia. Maybe land turn, but I think we're really exaggerating things a little bit. Lilligant, no. Quillfish, maybe. Poliwrath? Nah. Quillfish, yeah, kind of same deal as Roserade. You have spikes or toxic spikes. Obviously, no sand. Like, I mostly operate from from the idea that you will get rid of sand for at least a couple of turns every game. But usually it, it's permanent a lot more often than you might expect. So Quillfish definitely a consideration. Again, spikes, toxic spikes. Intimidate, nice. Pain split, it's okay. You're kind of low on slots, so maybe not always, but I think we are out of Tangrowth, maybe. But I don't know. Alomomola, probably no. I mean, she doesn't mind not a clear weather, but I don't know. Alomomola is kind of just there, and she probably needs Tyranitar as a support mon for herself. If you run Weavile, Alomomola, Cress, I think I don't know. To me, it feels a bit. No, to me, it feels a bit too extreme, so probably not. But hey, it's these are all things that you learn eventually by trying these mons out. So this was a couple of ideas of mons you can run together with Cress. As for Cress herself, as I said, once you have Sunny Day and Moonlight, the other two moves can be whatever. If, for example, I have a few teams that really need, say, the Conkeldurr checking done, so you can just run Psychic. You sometimes you don't want to run Thunderwave on Cress because you need to check both. I don't know, Garchomp and Kong, or I don't know, even Keldeo, for example. Keldeo doesn't do too much damage to you unless he specs or in rain, so that's nice, though you can get skull burned. Other moves you can run with this, I mean, not really. Lunar Dance, I've never had a chance to make it shine. Calm Mind, think you run out of slots. Could you run non-sunny day on Cress and Calm Mind? Maybe, but I think Cress with Sunny Day is what makes her good. Like I think this is the move that fixes Cress in Black and White reviews. So I'm very reluctant to even try out without Sunny Day. But if you want to try it, sure. Toxic, nice. Over Ice Beam. Sometimes you want Toxic. You can trade with Rotten Wash, say, or you can use it to just annoy, I don't know, Tyranitar or whatever. Like, it all depends on your team. Gravity, I mean, sure, if you really want to run Gravity, I see win now Magic Room. Magic Room is pretty funny, but I think you want to keep your Rocky Helmet up. Psycho Shift, that set is a dead end, I think. Rest Little, Psycho Shift, no, definitely not. Trick with Scarf. Like, older gens, older, newer gens rather, following gens run something like this often. I believe Thunderwave, not sure about the last move. Might just be a scam move, maybe it's Lunar, no, it's Lunar Dance. Like, later gens run something like this, I believe, which I don't hate this, but I don't think. I think Black and White is so fast, you will hardly find a use case for this. Like it will work sometimes, yes, but how often really? Other moves you can consider going back to Rocky Hamlet. If you want to run leftovers, by all means, run leftovers. HP Fire, not as a low move, but if you're dropping Thunder Wave, you can definitely do HP Fire. With HP Fire, you can you at least scare away Ferrothorn or damage it a bit, especially if Sunny Day is up. You have a fighting chance against Excadrill, but that's about it. Like, and I don't super like it, but maybe you can run it. It's a It's an idea. Right. So now the last part of the video, which is Cresselia's main issues. Like, when you run Cress, and say you're running this set, okay, what are the main issues with this set? Number one, Conkeldurr, because you Thunderwave it and give it guts, and then it just bulks up, and you ice beam for 20%, and it's if it's payback, you will die when it's at like +3 or 4, or maybe you can even maybe win the 1 versus 1, but then you have a 20% health cress, which it's almost guaranteed to be useless at that point. Like, you can just get pursued by, I don't know, Scizor maybe, or even if not, just you will not recover up, not against the teams Conkeldurr is typically. Other obvious problems, substitute Keldurr obviously is a non-starter for this. Rotten Wash, Wisp kind of makes her very weak, so probably have something for that. Escadrille is a big problem, as I said. If it gets in and Sand is up, Cress kind of struggles against it. Although it also depends on the Escadrille set. Because if it's special defensive, then you're fine, probably, unless you get very unlucky. Other mons that are kind of problematic for this, Alakazam, obviously. I mean, you don't die in one, but you do take a lot of damage, and it's likely that your Cresselia will be kind of low by the time Alakazam comes out, but it's not the end of the world. Let's build Signal. Never mind, Life Force Signal Beam does nothing to this Gal, so never mind. I remember it wrong. Okay. Also, I'm always assuming this EV spread. I tried Spreff. I mean, Spreff is fun. Is very funny, like in the calc, because look at it's actually Bilker, especially. You are a complete stop for a lot of things, but I think you need at least a lot of defense. You can maybe justify running a plus specially defensive nature. Do I trust this? 339, 326. Oh, nice. Yeah. You can maybe run something like this, but that's about it, really. Like, some def, sure, but you will need mostly physical defense. Scared and Wash, obviously the various Clef, you can T-Wave it maybe on the Switch. Doesn't really matter. Against the Clef teams anyway, Cress, you can get her paralyzed, who cares, right? You're paralyzed against Hippodon, Bronzong, Skermory, like, okay. What are they going to do? Will win you to death? Maybe, but you can just click Sunny Day and then Moonlight, yeah. Yeah, the main issues are like substitute attackers that also ignore Ice Beam. So again, or in general, monsters that are not that weak to Ice Beam. Even something like Gyarados, for example, could be annoying. Kelde, of course. Kyurem Black, if you don't have Psychic, pretty hard. Although, I will say, Kyurem Black does not do that much damage back to you if it's not Choice Band. It's actually pretty funny. I've had it happen in my last invite game. I lost, yeah, but my Cress just 1v1 the Kyurem Black, just like that. She doesn't take that much damage. Watch, if you're on the substitute attacker set, which this is not the one I named. I mean, this one is also permanently walled. Oh, there's... Okay, champ. Let's do Fritz Shock. Right. Look, if you're adamant, you do 44-52% you take as Cress. Yeah, of course you don't do anything back, so it's a bit shaky. If you don't... Oh, never mind, Psychic also doesn't really... Oh, because... Oh no, this is definitely the correct one. Something like this. But still, you see, you can even face down something like 140 base power stab move from almost 500 attack, which is definitely kind of funny. Um, so what do you want? Pair with cress. Oh, also trick, obviously. If you get tricked by Latios, it's over. You can paralyze it, which at least you want it KO'd back. So there's that, I guess. Ferrothorn is kind of a problem, as in it will come in for free, but every single crest team I hear has at least some ways to deal with Ferro, except maybe the first one. But it's okay. I've Zona a lot with Cress, for example, but you can also just run, I don't know, heat run, whatever. And so to cover a lot of things that Cress is okay, so you need a spinner, that's for sure. My favorite one to pair with Cress is Donphan. I also really like defensive Stormy. Defensive Stormy does give some sort of defense against a few things that are annoying for Cress. For example, Keldeo, or even just switching in, I don't know, Polito's Scald. That's fine. Donphan is a bit less obvious the synergy here, but I don't know, it just works. This is one of the things where it just works. So one of these two probably you could try definitely an Escadrille, but I don't know, you're setting a sunny day, so which makes it a bit suspicious to run Escadrille. Yeah, you could run Mold Breaker, but I don't know. I'm not convinced that's the optimal way to run Escadrille. So yeah, there's that. Spinners wise, yeah, these two. Or Fortress, of course. Fortress is a nice teammate with Cress because a lot of like she baits some things that completely crash into Fortress. Let's say Cure and Black itself, even because as you've seen from this calc, what is it? Like Psychic does not break the sub, but Fortress just doesn't care about Cure and Black at all. If you're not silly like me and run no gyro, so there's that. So one of these three is a great addition. Of course, what you get out of these matters. So Fortress recommend running spikes or toxic spikes, obviously, and spin. Downfun will be slightly less useful overall, but you can run, say, knock. You don't need the shard with Cress and then hopefully a revenge killer. As for her, she offers standard wave support, which is always welcome. And remember to run Surf and not Scald, though, because if you end up scalding a Reuniclus and burning it, you can say goodbye to, to your game. Yeah. And weather clear teammates, I tried Bliss with Rain Dance. I haven't tried her enough to give a final judgment. Who else do I run? Magnezone, obviously very nice with Cress, also solves the Ferrothorn issue and pairs well with other stuff that also likes the weather clear and having Cress support, so that's a good idea usually. But obviously, it gets a bit predictable after a bit. So I tried Among Us because you can kind of afford to drop an attacking move or even you can run stance for really. You can run stance for some day. I also tried synthesis. It's pretty funny when it works, but most of the times you will regret having synthesis, so I do not recommend. Probably this or fire move. Depends on the rest of your team, of course. And another, the biggest issue maybe it's Rotten Wash. That's why I've had Sesame Todd on that one team. That's why I like Among Us. Other weather reset mons that I tried and I didn't. I don't think I used anything else really with Sunny Day. That has paired well, but I can see a few of these. I think I had it on Gliscor somewhere on some teams, but well, Scizor, no shot you can run it. Fortress, you don't really have the slots unless you want to drop your Hazard, entry Hazard, which, I mean, if you really want to do that, sure. The Archomp? Donphan does learn Sunny Day technically, so you can also just do that, obviously. Alternatively, Alders, please say Chansey, the usual suspects. Maybe Flygon is an option, because it's got Roost too. Unfortunately, this one does nothing. If at least had the rocks, I don't know, something like Dragon Tail and rocks, but this guy does not learn them until Gen 9, I believe. And so you're kind of stuck with. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Magneson is usually my favorite. You can maybe try a Heatran. It's only the Heatran and just Lava Plume rocks. Dropping Toxic is a bit sad, but you don't necessarily need it with Cress, because while Toxic would be great to, say, hit Rotom, if you just Sunny Day on Rotom, Rotom just stops doing damage to you. Oh, you can just drop rocks as well, obviously. You can run this, maybe. Or run the cursed payback. This one, it Chaos Zam, that's the whole point. Or almost, at least. But yeah, you can run something like this. I think this works. This will work probably very well with Cress. And of course, Citran is weak to ground moves, levitate Cress. Fight moves, Rocky Helmet, Psychic type with 400 defense and 400 health. So yeah, this I can definitely see this working well as a combination. And then you want stuff that hates Sand Up, as we already went over. So Dragonite, Suicune, maybe even Fernape or Dragon. These are all things that I still have to test. Conk himself doesn't really like sand. Breloom, sure, why not? You can run, say, Life Orb Breloom, maybe? Or even just Swords Dance Breloom. Doesn't have to be Life Orb, but if you remove sand, this guy can stick around for a little bit longer, and that's usually nice to have. Rotom Wash, I think Rotom Wash is an okay teammate. You get a Thunder Wave, obviously, and without Sun, this guy is really hard to get rid of in a speedy manner. So that's always nice. I also had a team with Thunder Wave and Confuse Ray on the Rotom, which was with a Cress, and it was very high dose. I'm so sorry for bringing it. But yeah, it happened. Anyway, let's not do this. Right. Of course, Bliss herself loves no sand or Chansey. That's okay. Celebi, yes and no, doesn't matter. Dragonite, of course, loves no sand. Gengar, already eyed it. I will have to try it. Jellicent. Jellicent also, yes, but problem with Jelly is that it doesn't really do anything, and you need Wisp to do anything with this guy, but then it kind of clashes with T-Wave. This guy has. Okay, if you run Cress and Eton, though, you have 3 status in 2 months, if you run this set at least. So I guess you can't get too picky, right? And you can even have something that doesn't care about sun per se, but likes the paralysis spam, of course. That's always an option. Conk again, Breloom, as we already explored. Even just something like Swords Dance Garchomp, sure, why not? Gyarados, of course, lost both Para and no Sand. Keldeo, already also talked about the guy, Kyone Black. Like, there's a lot of mons that just like this. And another nice thing is that a lot of black and white has no serious fighting resists except for Landorus for physical moves. Even the sample team relies on, well, revenge killing therapy, right? Which is fine. It works most of the times, like easily. But some people maybe want a bit more. I don't know how to phrase it. They want a bit more of a serious answer, right? Something that says, "Oh, Terkan got in for free this one time. I can just hard cress on the guy. Sure, why not?" So yeah, this is Cresselia, and I encourage you all to experiment more with her because I'm just one guy. I don't have infinite time, and even if I did, I wouldn't want to spend too much of it on playing Pokemon. So yeah, and also sometimes, as much as I like Cress, it's not like I want to just play Cress until the end of times. I would also like to play other stuff every now and then. So yeah, that's that. And thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.